They should be my finest warriors, these men who give themselves to me. Like clay I shall mold them, and in the furnace of war forge them. They will be of iron will and steely muscle. In great armor shall I clad them, and with the mightiest guns will they be armed. They will be untouched by plague or disease. No sickness will blight them. They will have tactics, strategies, and machines, such that no foe can best them in battle. They are my bulwark against the terror. They are the defenders of humanity. They are my space marines, and they shall know no fear. Prelude, the Codex Astartes, Apocrypha of Scaros. So, we've all gotten a taste of the setting of Warhammer 40,000 in some of our latest entries. In Dark Heresy, we learned a bit about the oppressive and hopelessly corrupt society of the Imperium of Man, and how easy it is for the forces of evil to infiltrate it and destroy it from within. Then, in Rogue Trader, we found out about the adventurous lives of the titular rogue traders and how they often seek profit and challenge in the relatively unexplored Coronis expanse. Now though, I'm going to give you something quite different. This time, I'm introducing you all to the defenders of the Imperium of Man, the greatest of humanity's warriors and considered living weapons of the God Emperor of mankind, the Space Marines. Hi, hello, and welcome again to another episode of Natural Juan. This time around, we're going to continue to delve into Warhammer 40,000 roleplay with Warhammer 40,000 Deathwatch. This time around, we're going to take a look at the awesome warriors that are the Adeptus Astartes of the Imperium of Man, more commonly known as Space Marines or Angels of Death. We're going to find out just what it means to play as one of these heroes of humanity who spend the entirety of their extremely long lives fighting against the foes of the Imperium. That said, you're also going to find out why, despite often being depicted as angels of the Emperor, that Space Marines aren't exactly heroes either. That sometimes a hero is just a person who is willing to do what needs to be done so that others might not only live, but also be able to sleep soundly at night. Anyway, before we begin proper, if you want more tabletop role-playing madness like this, just click subscribe and hit that bell for notifications. So, to play Warhammer 40,000 Deathwatch, which is just another game line of the Warhammer 40,000 roleplay series, alongside other titles such as Dark Heresy, Rogue Trader, Black Crusade, and Only War, you need this core rulebook as a minimum, paper and pencils to record your adventures with, 2 10-sided dice per player, and, most importantly, your imagination and math skills. Now, for the last I mentioned, you can always use a calculator, but where would the fun be in that? Warhammer 40,000 Deathwatch plays the same way as many other Warhammer 40,000 roleplay game lines in that it uses a percentile dice system, which utilizes 2 10-sided dice that will generate random numbers from 00 to 99. Examples of how this works is, if you roll a 7 and a 4, it means you have rolled a 74. And if you rolled a 0 and a 3, you have rolled 3. And a 00 simply reads as 100. The results of these dice are then compared to a given value, and rolling a number equal to or lower means a success, and any number higher is considered a failure. So, if the target is 45 and you roll a 40, this means you have succeeded in your task, but rolling a 50 signifies failure. This game also makes use of the degrees of success and failure mechanic, wherein rolling a number 10 times higher or lower may give additional benefits or penalties respectively. For instance, if your target number is 50 and you roll a 15, you have 3 degrees of success as there are 3 10s between 50 and 15. Meanwhile, rolling a 70 would be 2 degrees of failure as there are 2 10s between 50 and 70. To give you a bit more background, let me just tell you more about our protagonists, the Space Marines. While they may superficially resemble human men, if a bit larger and more powerfully built, their internal physiologies are so heavily altered they can't be considered human anymore. Adeptus Astartes are augmented with various organs like an extra lung that can breathe water, an extra kidney to filter out otherwise deadly toxins, and even venom or acid ducts in their mouths, just to name a few. These in turn are created from gene seed, which are genetic materials based on the DNA of their primarch, one of the clone sons of the Emperor of Mankind tasked with leading them before the Horus Heresy. The process to transform an otherwise mundane human into an angel of death is long and arduous, and must start when the recruit is in their teens. Not all aspirants survive the screening process, and the transformation is both painful and dangerous. Then, even after they survive the surgery, they are inducted into a scout squad where they must accumulate decades of training and experience. However, should they succeed and thrive as Space Marines, they become functionally immortal and are only likely to die in combat, are usually 10 times stronger than an ordinary man, can move faster than trained athletes, can spit acid, gain immunities to many toxins, can breathe underwater, and gain access to some of the most devastating weaponry of the 41st millennium. Also, by the time the process of becoming a Space Marine is complete, the recipient is more or less asexual by that point, having lost all interest for romance, sex, and reproduction. Instead, all they yearn for is destroying the enemies of mankind in whatever way they can. This, ladies and gentlemen, is what it means to be a Space Marine. So, to start the game, you must first think of a concept for your character. One of the most stringent rules of the game is that Space Marines are all essentially male, which might seem strange for some players unfamiliar with the Warhammer 40,000 genre. That said, since most Space Marines are asexual as mentioned above, this issue becomes largely moot. However, if you are still looking for a female counterpart to the Space Marines, there are instead the Sisters of Battle or Adepta Sororitas, which I will detail in another video concerning the supplements of Dark Heresy. Anyway, after you've thought of a concept for your character, it's time to select a chapter from which he hails. For those not in the know, a chapter is essentially a self-contained army of Space Marines, usually kept at a population of 1,000 Astartes. There are only 5 available chapters in the core rulebook, but in later supplements there will be more. A lot more, in fact. Each chapter also has its own traditions, cultural identity, and confers bonuses to their own constituents. For instance, Space Marines of the Storm Warden chapter are known for their melee prowess, granting them +5 bonus for melee combat, and their daring strategies allow them to better engage enemies at close range, while their allies have a better chance at felling said enemy at a distance. Dark Angel Astartes, on the other hand, are the kings of defensive combat with bonuses to their toughness and agility, as well as being better at standing their ground. There are many others, such as the Raven Guard being better at hiding and sneaking about, and the Ultramarines being better leaders overall. After selecting a chapter, it is time to select a specialty for your character, which is similar to character class in many other role-playing games. The 6 starting specialties for Deathwatch are Tactical Marine, Assault Marine, Devastator, Tech Marine, Apothecary, and Librarian. The Tactical Marine serves as the jack of all trades and is either suited to the role of leader or support specialist. The Assault Marine is geared towards close-quarter combat and is often equipped with extremely lethal armaments like the iconic Chainsword or Power Fist. The Devastators are heavy weapon specialists and are granted access to withering ordnance like the Heavy Bolter, the Heavy Flamer, or Missile Launcher. The Tech Marine serves the role of engineer and mechanic, being able to maintain and repair weapons and vehicles, as well as receiving bonuses to using them in combat. The Apothecary is both a combat medic and excels in both assisting and strengthening his living allies, as well as producing deadly toxins that can be used against their enemies. The Librarian, despite its academic-sounding name, are the psychics of their respective squad or kill team, and are thus able to use magic or sorcery in combat. The last step in creating your character for Warhammer 40,000 Deathwatch is selecting a demeanor or behavior for your character, which is similar to the character alignment system found in other games. You already have a chapter demeanor, which refers to the kind of culture your character had, but your individual demeanor belongs to your character alone. Once you've sufficiently fleshed out your character, it's time to join the Deathwatch and the brewing wars of the Jericho Reach. To begin with, the Deathwatch is not a chapter of Space Marines, but is rather a treaty between Space Marine chapters whose purpose is to defend humanity from aliens like the conniving Eldar, the ravenous Tyranids, or the boisterous Orcs, and many, many more. That is why becoming part of a Deathwatch kill team, the basic unit of the organization, can be so difficult, as old rivalries and animosities flare up since everyone is from a different culture, so to speak. Another thing to remember is that the Deathwatch is not always about war, and that sometimes the Deathwatch's objectives are to kill a specific target, sabotage and destroy a dangerous alien device, accompany an ambassador to negotiate with friendly aliens, or, on an extremely rare occasion, negotiate with said aliens themselves. While the Deathwatch is primarily geared towards fighting and killing aliens, they will also not ignore the threats posed by heretics, traitors, and demons. The Jericho Reach, the setting of the actual game, is a place that is on the brink of war, and any wrong move can send the whole sector into chaos. Truth be told, many of its parts are already at war, and, this being Warhammer 40,000, is only a matter of time before the rest is consumed by conflict. The Deathwatch is now on the scene to provide what assistance they can to the beleaguered sector, be it in eliminating key targets or taking part in many of the sector's brutal skirmishes. So that's it for this episode of Natural Juan. If you like this video, feel free to like and share with your friends. Again, this is Natural Juan bidding you all have a good one and see you in the next video.